All right, excellent. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We were super excited and we were totally jazzed and ready, and we sat down, and then, oops, technical difficulty, even after all our trials. So we're getting through that, and I apologize for the little late start, but here we go. So first, I'd like to introduce our moderator. Kat's going to be fielding the polls and the chat box. Thank you so much for being there for us. Way more than just technical assistance for me this time around. Thank you, Kat. Super supportive. And then we have, of course, Dr. Maria Maricic, functional medicine practitioner, postural neurologist, Olympic downhill racer, network chiropractor, my boss and my friend, Dr. Maria Maricic. And you go now.
Okay. I'm confused because I'm still getting this echo, so that's why I stalled. But anyway, welcome to the webinar. Again, apologize for all the tech problems. We're working it out. But Cynthia, I'm so proud of as our health coach here at the Wellness Clinic. She will be your main presenter today, talking about adrenal fatigue and not letting it impact your life. Adrenal fatigue is just, such an important topic. It can affect so many things, as you'll learn. Hopefully you're going to learn some great strategies on how to shift adrenal fatigue and, really make a difference in your life. So Cynthia also does private coaching with people. She'll be available to chat with people about their particular concerns, and we'll be giving you some information about that at the end of the webinar. So please do stick around to the end so you can find out about that. She's just a great, compassionate person. She'll be present with you and guide you through whatever your needs might be in regaining or improving your health. We're all about high-functioning people. So you guys being on this webinar with us, I'm sure you're a high-functioning person, and you can become even more high-functioning. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the webinar over to Cynthia.
All right, thank you, Dr. Maria. I am so excited about this, my very first one. We're taking the philosophy of imperfect action is better than no action, and I so appreciate you, Dr. Maria, for encouraging that, because I can stagnate just out of not doing it because it's not perfect. So I appreciate that. So I want to invite all of us to go ahead and take a minute, settle in, take a couple of nice long breaths down into your belly. Feel the gravity holding you to the chair, supporting you. Think of it as support, not a drag down, but as a total support. And here we are, taking in some pretty amazing information. And as we consider this and we take this moment, I want to encourage you to think about how you're going to take what you hear today and put it into one step forward towards your best health, your best self, your highest good, however resonates for you. What are you going to take away? So with that, let's get started. First, a little 101. We're going to do adrenal fatigue 101. The term adrenal fatigue is actually kind of controversial in the major, conventional medicine is in a little debate about it. And for me personally, it feels a little bit like the earth is flat, the earth is round. Like you guys debate, well, I'm just going to get on the ship and go because I want to feel better. And so that's kind of the approach that I'm taking. I don't really care if they can prove it or not. But I do know that the adrenal glands, we all know and we all agree that the adrenal glands are super important for your health. So the term adrenal fatigue came up in the late 90s, when people were noticing a set of symptoms. So they're calling it adrenal fatigue when related symptoms that are caused by adrenal dysfunction occur. And usually it's attributed to prolonged stress or potentially stress on the body because of infection or some sort of other medical, biological problem. So let's go ahead and check out what the adrenals are part of. You see there the endocrine system. Nice picture there that I got off of a very nice website. You see the kidneys right in the middle of the body there. At the top of the kidneys, you have the adrenals. They're each a little different, but there are two of them, one on the left and the right. And they're responsible for so much. They are the hormone creators of all. And hormones, people tend to think of hormones as, oh, you're hormonal, so you must have something going on with your period, or oh, testosterone. The big those kind. We think of sex hormones when we think of hormones, but really, every message that goes throughout your body is a hormone. They are little messengers that fly around your body and kick in and kick out and upregulate and downregulate. And the adrenals are one of the main producers of those hormones. They produce the hormone that is actually the precursor to all the rest of the hormones. So, do you think the adrenals are important? Yeah, they really are. And you've got to take good care of them. Take good care of yourself, and then they take care of you. All right, so when you have a responsive adrenal, then you have an appropriate fight or flight response. Like if you're you step into the street and a bus is coming that you didn't see, you're able to actually jump out of the way. And then you calm down and you go about your day. And that's the normal fight or flight response. And you're able to give a webinar like I'm doing right now without freaking out. And then afterward, I'll calm back down again and I'll go forward with healthy adrenaline response or adrenal response. The other thing it does is it produces neurotransmitters. So the brain fog, the brain gets sharp and the brain relaxes. All of these messages are coming from the responsive adrenals. And especially our sex hormones, our reproductive hormones keep us in balance and keep us moving through our life. So when we have responsive adrenals, stress functions in a good way. And we don't like stress. This poor woman here, she looks like she's got a headache. She's a little stressed out, but she's going to relax. She'll get herself a cup of tea, and then she'll be fine. She just moves in and out of stress, and it's good. Stress in a good way. Cortisol, adrenaline, up and down, everything's fine. And then what happens is we have chronic stress. How many of you have chronic stress? I would say, I don't know if I know anyone who doesn't have chronic stress. I know that we go in and out of more stressful times. Our nation is in a big stress time right now. Seems like our world is. So we are experiencing chronic stress, and that means that our adrenals are working hard. So when you're feeling sick and stressed, it's not good. I'm going to draw a little bucket right here on the screen. When we are born, imagine that we're born with a bucket. Have you ever tried to draw with a mouse? Okay, it's almost looking a little Easter basket-y, but that's okay. So, yeah, that just disappeared. Let's try it again. Okay, that's a good bucket. Okay, so when we're born, our buckets have a little bit of stuff in it from our moms. Our moms naturally, through the whole pregnancy and the development process, some of her toxins go into our bodies. And so we have a little bit of stuff in our bucket. And then we go through life. We have maybe one of our animals, our beloved pets die, and so we have some grief. And then maybe we perceive that our teacher doesn't like us, and so we have emotional stress. And then maybe we get chickenpox and we have some sickness. But the whole time of our life, the bucket is being upregulated and downregulated and detoxed and retoxed, and our bodies are magnificent balancers. And everything's going well. And then maybe you don't get into the college that you wanted, and then maybe you get in a car accident, and then maybe you eat something toxic. You go down to a different country and you drink the water and you get sick, and you come back and you're doing fine, and then you lose your job. So then, whoops, all of a sudden the bucket overflows, and you have symptoms that start to show up. What's going on there? What is that? Why do I have this? Why do I have that? Well, it's because your bucket's overflowing and you have to do something to help your body out. And that's the good news, is that we have things that we can do for the body. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about symptoms. Let's do our poll here. What are you experiencing now? we're going to put up a poll on the right there, and see, Kat's putting that up there. So when you check out different symptoms, there's tons of different symptoms. The thing about these adrenal dysfunction is that because there's so many things the adrenal glands do for our bodies, there's a lot of different ways that it can affect us. And you put that number of different ways, and then you also attach it to how individual we all are. We are all individual pieces of divine miracle, if you ask me, coming forth with our experiences and with our exposures and with our genetics. And then you attach all those different ways to each other, and you have too many ways that the symptoms show up. So I just put 5 here. Food cravings, persistent fatigue, depression or anxiety, poor circulation or numbness, and weight gain or fluid retention. It looks like most of us are talking about weight gain and fluid retention. That's actually one that showed up for me too. And I thought it was interesting that the fluid retention doesn't have to go with the weight gain. And sometimes fluid retention is the weight gain. So for me, I looked down at my ankles a couple of times and went, whoa, are those mine? What's going on there? Very not cool. I was not okay with that. And as I've been learning all about this over the last 5 years or so, I am able to look personally at my own little guinea pig and figuring out what's going on here. Yeah, it looks like we've got some fatigue too. Persistent fatigue is, if you're waking up tired, or every afternoon you feel like you need something, like you're craving coffee, or you're craving a sweet, or some kind of lull in the afternoon. Chances are good that you have some adrenal stress going on. All right, so before we dive into the stages of adrenal fatigue and what to do about it, I want to have Dr. Maria go ahead and give us a little hormone primer and talk about the adrenal thyroid connection. I'm not hearing your mic. Dr. Maria, did you click your microphone?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect, thanks.
Okay, sorry. All right, so cholesterol up there at the top is the main precursor for the body to make hormones. Everybody gives cholesterol a bad rap because it's linked with heart disease, but you have to have cholesterol to make hormones, especially adrenal hormones. So the first arrow going to pregnenolone is the first step. When we have excess stress, all of the hormones, I'm going to go to the next slide, they tend to go down this next pathway here that I have circled. This is called pregnenolone steal. So all the resources of the adrenal hormones go towards cortisol, the stress hormone. And you can see then that the hormones over on the right, the DHEA, the estrogens, the testosterone, those are going to get robbed and depleted. So this is why adrenal fatigue can leave you feeling like you have hormone imbalances. And those hormone imbalances can be one of the reasons for some of the symptoms, such as fatigue and weight gain. So that's a little bit of physiology understanding of what happens with the adrenal glands. Now, it's an interesting thing with the thyroid. A lot of people have thyroid type symptoms. So things like fatigue is thyroid, constipation, depression, hair loss, face feeling puffy. Those are all sort of adrenal thyroid links. So when the adrenals are elevated, which is what happens first, and Cynthia will explain this a little bit more, but when the adrenals are elevated, meaning you're getting excess cortisol, that actually shuts down the pituitary, and the pituitary is in the brain. It tells all the hormones what to do, including thyroid. So when the cortisol is shutting down the pituitary, it's also shutting down thyroid. And this is a really interesting thing in terms of lab tests, because you might have had thyroid lab tests done, and the doctors will say, oh, everything looks great. Well, they may have only looked at a thyroid hormone. Actually, it's a pituitary hormone called TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And if it looks low or normal, they consider that normal thyroid. Well, if it's low, it's not stimulating the thyroid to produce the thyroid hormones. So here you can see on this slide, just reiterating what I just said, the elevated cortisol causes a decrease in TSH. TSH is the one that tells the thyroid what to do. And so we really need to look also at additional hormones in blood tests, like free T3 and free T4. If you have all of those low, that means it's a pituitary problem, and it started with an adrenal problem. If, on the other hand, you have TSH elevated while the thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, are low, that's more of a primary thyroid sort of a problem. So I hope that's clear for people. I've got listed there some of the other symptoms people might have with thyroid problems, like they just need to sleep a lot. A weird little phenomenon is that the eyebrows will thin on the outer third. Before we had thyroid testing available, we would watch cholesterol. So when cholesterol was elevated, that was a sign of poor thyroid function. So I'm going to turn it back to Cynthia for a moment, and then I'll come back with you in just a sec.
Okay, so the uprise in thyroid dysfunction, we're not sure why that's happening, but part of it is that it's the adrenal problem, right? And so when we're trying to figure out what's going on with the thyroid, that TSH only is not accurate enough, just like Dr. Maria said. And so part of what we want to do is be functional, look for your functional diagnosis. That is looking at the balance, or looking at the underlying causes of it. Excuse me, there we go. So functional, I'm going to go ahead and click here. The thyroid imbalance is, I don't know, the whole endocrine system. Remember that slide that we were talking about? The thyroid is critical, the adrenals are critical, and they all work together. This is why it's critical for you to pay attention to your symptoms and not just attribute them to age. Oh, I must be getting older. If I had a penny for every time I heard that, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And so please don't excuse this stuff. It's kind of nice to compartmentalize for a while, but really pay attention. You don't have to live with pain. You don't have to live with, low energy. And that's where your functional practitioner comes in. Functional medicine is individualized medicine. It's looking for the root cause. So see this woman with her hair there, that, hair loss is a symptom of a lot of different things. But if you just treat the hair loss, you're not going to treat, at the top of the cascade. We want to get the hair loss is at the bottom of the cascade. We want to find out what's going on and what the imbalance is. Dr. Mia, did you want to say any more about that?
Okay, so, we do functional medicine in this office, and functional medicine is the practice of looking for the root cause of problems. One of my favorite mentors wrote a book called Why Do I Still Have Thyroid Symptoms When My Lab Tests Are Normal? And so this is the point that Cynthia's making, is regardless of what you may have been told by another doctor, or, they treat the symptoms. They don't look for the underlying cause. So you want to really assess what's going on with you and look at those, what might seem like minor things, like mild fatigue or mild sleep disturbance, and recognize that those are a sign from your innate intelligence that your body is needing some assistance. And then, like I said, we in this office do functional medicine. So we really try and look through lab tests and other means at underlying causes of imbalances. And, I guess we sort of got off on a track about thyroid here, but the adrenals, back to the adrenals, they're the central burner of the whole endocrine system, and they affect everything. They affect all the hormones, they affect your brain function, they affect sleep, that kind of stuff. So that's what we do in the office here, is functional medicine. And just in case some of you are on that don't know us, I think most everybody does, but I'm Dr. Maria Maricic, and Cynthia Carr is our health coach. We're located in Ketchum, next to Java. And with that, we'll move on with the slides.
All right. So I like your analogy, Dr. Maria, about the burner, the central burner. Many of us have had experience with gas stoves, right? And the old clicker, which had the pilot light, and then all the different burners don't work unless you have that central burner going. So keep that in mind as we go through. So we're going to talk about the 4 stages of adrenal fatigue. There are 4 stages, and you hope you don't want to get to that last stage. Most of us have gone in and out of the first stage many times in our lives, and we can get out of it when we notice what's happening. We take some steps and we heal, which is the beauty of our bodies and our this innate wisdom that we have going on. So this is the alarm reaction. It's sort of like when you get a phone call that you don't want, but your body thinks that you're being chased by a tiger. And so you have an upsurge in cortisol, and it's sort of a constant thing. It's an overreaction, essentially. That first phase, it oftentimes the thyroid imbalance and the adrenal fatigue both can be a cause and a result from imbalance in the body. So we're paying attention to all these things. At this point in this stage, there's not a lot of physical or physiological illness that we would call illness. A functional practitioner might say, pay attention. Or if you're in my household, we'd say, pay attention. But you would notice those symptoms we've been talking about, like fatigue or cravings, or maybe some irritability, some brain fog, stuff that's not quite right. Then what happens when you have fatigue? What do you all do when you have fatigue? I know people who drink coffee every morning, can't do it without it. And so we have an uptick in coffee consumption. We have an uptick in other caffeinated drinks in the afternoon, maybe some sugar, other stimulants, extra carbs. And then we get wired, but we're still tired. So this phase is also called the wired and tired phase. So if you get that sort of raw feeling, that little edgy feeling, sort of jaggedy, that is the wired and tired. Adrenal is tired. Go and put your feet up, rest. Take a look at your life. What can you do to get back into that regular response? The other thing that's interesting about this phase is that you may have an electrolyte imbalance because the sodium levels are regulated by the hormone produced in one of the hormones produced in the adrenals. So pay attention to that. And I also, those neurotransmitters are super essential. Okay, so let's take a look at the cortisol, DHEA, pregnenolone progression in these stages. You'll notice that stage 1, see that red arch up there? That's the cortisol spike. And we're going to talk about stage 2 here in a minute. So while we're on this slide, check out where that cortisol goes in stage 2. It's back to normal again. So if you were just looking at cortisol levels, you would think that you're normal. But then a wise practitioner will look at the DHEA levels and see that that line, that black line, is low. And so that's the indicator that we're in stage 2. So stage 2 is called resistance response. And that's when the adrenals begin to lose their ability to keep up with the demand for cortisol. Fatigue becomes more noticeable, infections, insomnia, all these symptoms become a little more exacerbated. Irritability, anxiety. When you have unexplained anxiety, it could very well be stage 2 adrenal fatigue. So again, all your hormones are getting kind of wonky. They're dropping, DHEA is dropping, testosterone's dropping. These are important hormones, so we got to pay attention. And the beauty of this is that it's lifestyle medicine. You can do this. You don't need to have a pharmacy to do this. All right, so stage 3 is called adrenal exhaustion. Adrenal exhaustion is the body's finally saying, okay, we're going to start having to go to survival mode now because I'm too tired to keep up with this output. And what that means is it starts to break down the muscle and to use for energy, and that's not what we want, right? We want to keep our strong, healthy bodies. Some of the symptoms, again, get bigger, but there's some more symptoms here. We have reduced exercise tolerance, longer recovery time. You go out and rake leaves and have to take a 2-hour nap. That's a sign that you're exhausted. your adrenals are exhausted. Brain fog, insomnia, depression, increased infections, lack of sex drive, which affects relationships. And it's like this cycle that happens that's not a healthy cycle. You're less productive, you need to rest more. All of these hormones and neurotransmitters are very low at this point. Fortunately, it's not very common to get to stage 4, which is adrenal failure. Now, adrenal failure has some more extreme symptoms, all those above symptoms, plus sudden back pain, low back, legs, or abdomen pain, digestive distress like vomiting or diarrhea. Severe dehydration can happen because the salt regulation isn't working, and low blood pressure. I don't know if any of you have experienced low blood pressure, but it's a strange feeling. Loss of consciousness, cardiovascular collapse, it's pretty extreme. So obviously we do not want to go there. Now we get to talk about the good stuff. So the solution, what are we going to do about this? Well, it's easy and challenging at the same time to choose what's best for you. And that's where your health coach comes in. So be careful of the internet. There's some great information out there, and I can help guide you through that if you'd like. But again, we're going to have some offers at the end for you to just do a quick 15-minute consult, complimentary, and we can pick your strategy of this list, okay? And more. We'll see what you need. So first off is eating. Then there's moving. Then there's sleeping. Then there's hydrating. Then there's love and relationships and coming from a place of peace, balance in your life, resting time, and then the health maintenance. I made a huge list just now. Don't worry, we'll pick something because you're taking away at least one thing today. All right, so let's talk about that diet. What do? We got this beautiful avocado. Oh, I love avocados, and it's getting to be avocado season. Avocado is a great example of a healthy fat. Fats are one of the most misunderstood things, partly because of the agriculture, marketing, industrial, consumer complex that we call, I don't know what we call, like I guess we call it, I call it crazy. We were told that low fat is best. In fact, I remember in my family, oh, we're so excited about this cookie that has 4 paragraphs of ingredients because it's non-fat. Yay, let's eat them. That was probably 20 years ago, and maybe you all remember that phase. And what we know now, and I love that it's becoming mainstream, is that fats are good. We need fats to be well, and fats don't make us fat. The trick, though, is to go high quality fat. So high quality fat means coconut, it means avocado, it means olives and olive oil, it means nuts and seeds. And if you're going animal fat, when you go animal fat, make it high quality grass-fed, butter, ghee, and then of course the meats that have the fat in them, the fatty meats. All right, so fatty fish, make sure your fish is not farm raised. You want it from a cold water, wild caught source. Because remember how I talked about the bucket, you want to make sure your bucket's not getting challenged just because of what you're eating. The other thing to include, of course, is what your mama always say, eat your vegetables, right? So eat your vegetables, and we want to keep a balanced meal. Fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And I want to encourage you to think of carbohydrates as vegetables, and that's how you'll get enough vegetables. Vegetables have the nutrients, well, everything has nutrients, but vegetables have the nutrients and minerals that we need to make those hormones, and we'll talk about that in a slide here in a little bit. Vegetables, 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 okay? And all kinds, the whole rainbow, as Dr. Maria likes to say. Think about your colors, think about your season, and just eat the vegetables with the healthy fat. Lather on that high quality butter and ghee and just gobble them up. Then we also have fermented foods. That's another thing that's coming into the mainstream that's exciting, because fermented foods are foods that are processed so that they're better and easier to digest. You can absorb the nutrients better, and they come with probiotics and prebiotics. And that helps keep all those nice little gut bugs in your intestines balanced. And part of the test that we're going to talk about here can help us see your balance. So we'll get back to that in here in a little bit. And the last thing was clean protein. I talked a little bit about that a minute ago, but really we want to go with really clean protein. And what I mean is the highest quality, organic, grass-fed, local. If you know your farmer, that's even better. I know that's kind of a challenge for some of us, but gosh, give me a call. I'll help you. I'll help you track down those resources. And it can be affordable. Do not get discouraged. Okay, so again, healthy fats, vegetables, fermented food, and clean protein. All right, unfortunately, we do have to talk about the exclude. What's the exclude list? Probably things you can think of yourself. Sugar and sweeteners, especially artificial sweeteners. Get rid of those things because they're just pure chemicals. Sugar feeds things we don't want to feed, including addictions. So sugar is toxic. And even though it's sweet, we can find, when you will notice as you decrease your sugar intake, you can start to taste things better. Things have a richer flavor. It takes a little time, but you'll get there. Caffeine is toxic. We also want to get rid of the paragraph foods. So I call them paragraph foods because the ingredients are listed in a paragraph. 3 ingredients or less, or shop the perimeter of the grocery store. No ingredients, just one thing straight from the earth. Another biggie that's very toxic is a type of fat. It's hydrogenated oils. That's cheap for the producer of the food, to the companies to buy and create and make the food that we buy in the middle of the grocery store. Get rid of those hydrogenated oils and watch out because they are coming up with new names for it. The names that we're familiar with may not be what you are used to seeing. If you can't pronounce it and you can't buy it in that grocery store, then don't buy it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about blood sugar. Dr. Maria, did you want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. So the adrenals play a big role in blood sugar. Those phases that Cynthia was talking about, when the adrenals are in stage 1 or 2 and the cortisol is going up, that tends to cause insulin resistance. And insulin resistance causes us to store fat on our bellies, like that slide is showing. Then, as you start moving into the exhaustion phase, the adrenals, because they're not stimulating insulin and cortisol, also means that they're not regulating blood sugar to keep it elevated enough. So now you're in sort of a hypoglycemic state. And then that pattern will relate to waking up at night and not being able to go back to sleep. The first pattern I talked about is more of a pattern where you can't go to sleep at night. So blood sugar and adrenals play a big role in obviously waking, but also sleep. And then moods, because you have to have proper blood sugar going to the brain in order to make neurotransmitters and keep the brain balanced. So that's the role of blood sugar in relation to your adrenal glands.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the dangerous deficiency slide. It's funny that that title is so inflammatory and that picture is so beautiful. It just makes me want to taste that juicy orange. As you may be thinking of, when we talk about deficiencies, we're talking about vitamins and minerals. Our soils are depleted, our diets are challenged by our busyness and our lack of cooking our own food, and also our bodies are stressed. And so deficiencies affect our production of hormones. I'm going to list them right now. Sodium is a big one. I know that's another thing like fat that we misunderstand. Sodium needs to come in the form of a whole salt, not an overprocessed salt. I'm thinking Himalayan pink salt. I'm thinking some of those salt companies out of Utah that do whole salt. So watch for those. When you have your aldosterone challenged because it's not being made efficiently in your adrenals, then your salt intake and your salt regulation in your body, your sodium regulation, is out of balance. So back to the oranges, we have vitamin C. Vitamin C is an excellent antioxidant, and it's found in tasty foods. So eat as much vitamin C foods as you can. B vitamins. B vitamins, both C and Bs are water soluble, so they go in and out and in and out. So we have to replenish them. The B vitamins are specifically helpful in cell metabolism. Do we have to have cell metabolism? Of course we have to have cell metabolism. We want it to be the best cell metabolism that we've got. Energy production and therefore fatigue reduction, B vitamins help with. D vitamin is a fat soluble vitamin. It's an interesting one though, because the body has to choose whether it's going to replenish vitamin D or use cortisol. And cortisol always wins because it's a survival. The body will keep you alive. So we want to make sure we have adequate D vitamin. Magnesium is another one. Magnesium is responsible for basically, it's part of the whole network of energy creators. So magnesium needs to be paid attention to. And then again, the probiotics. You want to keep your gut nice and healthy and balanced. Okay, so, and those things are determined by tests, not just because you feel it and because you see an advertisement at Costco and you want to grab the big jug of whatever has the nicest label. I don't mean to accuse anybody of being an ignorant consumer, but I really encourage you to leave those on the shelf until you do research. And if they seem right, then buy it. All right, so available tests, Dr. Maria. I'm not hearing your mic, Dr. Maria. Are you on? Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk while she's figuring that out. The tests that are available here in the office. The ASI stands for Adrenal Stress Index, and that's a simple saliva test. We have a couple of versions of that. So depending on how much money you want to spend, how much information you want to gather, what seems best for your current state of your health, then you will help you choose the adrenal stress index. The GI map is fascinating. I love that thing. I haven't done it for myself yet, but I plan to in the next month or two. But it comes back with a whole result of a map of all the different bugs in your gut. So it's a GI map, and it's a fecal sample. Simple. All the instructions are there, and you mail it off, and it comes back to us. And then we can help you interpret those results. Blood tests, we have gotten pretty creative about how to help you afford blood tests. We have lots of versions. Oh, I hear you. Is that you there? I think you're coming on. Yay. So we were just getting to the blood test part.
Okay.
You want to talk about that?
Sure. First of all, I don't know if you talked about it because I was switching computers. But the stress test that you're seeing over to the right is equivalent to what we've got listed on the slide as the ASI. That's ASI stands for Adrenal Stress Index. But we've got a link for you where you can order your own stress test and look at cortisol levels morning, noon, afternoon, and night. And that's the rhythm we want to look at. And then this company, Thorne, who's my favorite product company for supplements, will actually send you a report indicating what supplements you might need to do and dietary changes for your specific level of adrenal fatigue. And then, of course, we can go over that with you too, and that's what we like to do, is go over it with you so that you can get the doctor support that you need. As far as blood tests go, a simple comprehensive metabolic profile that most doctors will order, and we can order also for you, will give us a lot of clues as to what's happening with the adrenal glands. So, we'll look at glucose. We also look at sodium and potassium. Those are big clues as to glucose or adrenal function because the adrenals regulate the electrolytes. So we do like to have a look at blood tests. That's really valuable. And then the GI map is a gastrointestinal test. That is usually the number one cause of stress internally. So, when we think of stress, we think of things like relationship stress or work stress or financial stress or the stress of it being rainy day after day, like that. But we also have internal stresses happening in our bodies from accumulated toxins or from inflammation. And the gastrointestinal tract is the primary source of internal stress. So that's why we recommend doing a gastrointestinal test. And that is true whether or not you have symptoms. Certainly, if you have any kind of digestive symptoms like acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, gas, any of that kind of stuff, we definitely want to look at the gastrointestinal tract. So that's the testing, and highly recommend that you do at the very least, the stress test indicated there to the right.
All right. Yeah, that's a nice simple test too. And I like your, while you were offline, Dr. Maria, I was talking about the GI map and how cool it is. And I like the balance between my layperson version and your doctor version. Pretty fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about sleep. Oh, that's one of my favorite things. I love sleep. Let's do a quick poll again. Let's wake up a little bit. Everybody rub your palms together. Snap, snap, snap. And here we go. Talk about sleep. What are you experiencing? Do you have trouble falling back to sleep? Are you waking up and falling back to sleep easily? Or do you maybe you wake up and can't fall back to sleep? Maybe you wake up regularly in the morning feeling tired, or you're sleeping fine without interruptions. All good. Go ahead and we have trouble falling back asleep, looks like. A couple others. So sleep is an amazing thing, and I have been seeing lots of hits lately that I believe it's starting to come into the forefront, just like some of these other things that I'm so excited about, so that it becomes a mainstream conversation. No more ignoring it. No more being, oh, I'm so cool, I can get by on 4 hours of sleep. It's not about that. The sleep is essential. We are circadian beings. The cool thing I want to show you too is this little circadian release of cortisol. Notice how in the morning cortisol is high, and throughout the day it drops. Into the evening you sleep with lower, and then as the cortisol rises naturally, we wake up and start our day again, and then it goes down again as the day goes by, and then back up again in the morning. So that's what we should be experiencing. If our cortisol is wonky, then we wake up in the night. There's other reasons to wake up in the night as well, but it's worth analyzing. So a couple of suggestions: create a sleep schedule, or I don't know, that doesn't sound good to me, but what it means is be regular. Go to bed and wake up at the same time if you can.
I just started a book one of our clients told us about called Circadian Code.
Oh, nice.
It's really interesting about the research behind the sleep cycle and eating cycle, for that matter. That, because of the circadian rhythm, we produce certain hormones at certain times of the day and certain digestive enzymes and things like that. And it even talks about the right time of day to exercise, which apparently is the afternoon.
Oh, interesting.
According to this book. So the book, like I said, the book's called Circadian Code, and when you read it, you really get a bigger sense of how important it is to have sleep hygiene and be going to bed ideally at 10 o'clock, because if you look at this little picture here, the adrenals need to rest from 10 to 6, basically. That's the ideal sleep pattern. And so, start turning down lights and things at 9 and start winding down and really try and get those 8 hours of sleep. So anyway, I just wanted to interject that little bit about lots of research out there on this topic.
Yeah, they got a Nobel Prize for it a couple years ago, and it really ramped up the interest in it. And if you think about it, I mean, if you're just a logical person, we are animals on this planet, and we are diurnal animals, which means we're awake in the day and we go to bed at night. And our clocks and our blue light and all these things control us and keep us away from the natural rhythm, but we do have choices. One thing I wanted to tell you that I've learned recently is that blue light, which means your screens, your computer, your phone, your TV, blue light neutralizes melatonin. Melatonin is a calm awake hormone. Okay, calm awake. It doesn't make you sleep, When the light starts to go down, the sunlight starts to go down. In other words, the sun is going down, the day is ending. Our bodies notice that and create melatonin. And if we are on the screens, then it's going to be neutralized. The melatonin is created in our bodies to cause us to be calm, awake, and being preparing for sleep, for a solid sleep. Now we say 10 to 6, 10 to 7, whatever. That's great. If you need to bump an hour or two, we're all right on the edge of a time zone. So depending on where you are and what feels right, take a good look at your sleep. Sleep is important. If you're feeling tired and when you wake up, it's not normal. You should wake up rested. There are things that we can do about this. All right. Next is stress management. I've been hearing that phrase for 30 years, and it's almost like a I don't know, it's too businessy or something. So basically what it means is, what are you doing to take care of yourself? I always say there's two types of stress management. One is taking care of yourself so that when you are under stress that you handle it well. And the second is, what do you do in the moment? So we're going to talk about taking care of yourself first. Now, there's so many things that we can do. We can even start a chat on that one. Let's go to the chat box. Tell us, what do you do for stress management? And hopefully it's not the coffee wine cycle that we talked about. We don't want to be, all edgy. Some of us have been there. I've been there, coffee wine cycle, but luckily I broke that. One thing that is so important that you can call your takeaway, if you can't think of anything else so far, is to breathe. We have the equipment. We have it with us at all times. We can do it wherever and whenever. Simply taking a nice deep breath is stress management. And there's science about that, about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system working together. The deep breath fires up all these responses, and hormones shift and blood pressure changes. And doesn't it feel good? Did you try it? Take a nice deep breath and see how that feels. And remember that tool. Keep it handy in your pocket. And when you're feeling stressed in the moment, take a breath or two or three. And it can't just be hyperventilation kind of breath. A nice deep pause. My dad has this app, and I'm not sure he can hear it. I wonder if he's even watching actually now. But he can't hear it sometimes, but it's a reminder bell that goes off to mindfully breathe. So the rest of us hear it, and we mindfully breathe when his phone goes off. So there's ways to help you do this regularly through the day to help you stay in managed stress so that when the stressors come up, you're ready. What else do we do? Do I see anything coming up in the chat?
How about meditation? That's a good one.
Yes. And that's another one of those things that I've been wanting to see come into the regular fold of our conversation as a nation. We are starting to talk about meditation. It's no longer opening your mind and the devil jumps in. It actually is knowing what it is, actually becoming an acceptable, normal thing. Meditation is simply clearing your mind, taking a rest, sitting down, and feeling. I mean, what are 3 words that you would call it, Dr. Maria?
Instead of talking to God, listening to God.
Yeah, listening. We're listening. And
one of my meditation teachers just says, just focus on something. Like right at the moment, I can hear the fan of the computer. And so, as you focus on something other than your stuff, you're calming the mind. So calming the mind, I would call it. And there's so many different techniques for meditation. So
many. And so we can send you some links. Give us a call. Sign up for that Calendly 15-minute consult, and I'll share with you how to do that. There's so many resources out there, and you'll find the right thing that works for you, starting with focusing on the breath, clearing your mind. Simple. Sit down. That's all you got to do. Anything else? What else did anybody say what they do for stress management?
I'm not saying anything else, so let's go on.
Yep. Okay. So, you guys, thank you so much for your patience with our our technical difficulties. Again, beta webinar. This is beta. We're on the beta phase. And I'm hearing and seeing lots of ideas for mini webinar series coming up to support you in to help you be the better person, the higher health person, your best self. So Dr. Maria, you have some things for us?
I do. I always like to end the talk or a presentation with us closing our eyes and just thinking for a moment about whatever it was that brought you on to the webinar. Whatever your concerns are, whether it's you're not sleeping great, or maybe you're a woman in the menopausal years and you put on some weight and you're really frustrated with that, or maybe you're not, moods aren't great, something. So just think about that for a moment. And I'm sure you came here hoping that you would get some information on how to improve it, and I hope you have. We certainly want to assist you in this process, and so we're going to put up with our next offer, and that is that you can sign up for a consultation with Cynthia, complimentary consultation. That's a 15 minutes to, sort of mastermind about what are the ideal strategies for you to improve not only your adrenal health, but your overall health and well-being in a way that maybe we haven't addressed in the past. So the link is Calendly, and also on both of these links, the stress test and the setting up a calendar appointment, we will send out an email, so you have those links in an email too. So anyway, just thinking about the things that brought you to the webinar, and then also thinking about where you want to be, let's say in 6 months. Where do you want to be in 6 months with your health? As I said before, our goal is a high-functioning human. We want to help anybody be the next level of high-functioning. So where do you want to be in 6 months? And what's it going to take to get there? And if you're feeling that you need support in that, we will be there to support you in achieving those goals. So like we were doing with the meditation closed, and just imagine and feel yourself at that place you want to be, feeling empowered, feeling like, oh my God, I'm for months now I've been getting great sleep, or I'm feeling really good, I'm more productive at work, anything like that, and just feel and be with that. One more final slide here about additional tests from the functional medicine standpoint. We can also look at hormone levels, not just the adrenal hormones. There's a urine test that we do that will show the metabolites of hormones that tell us about what stage of adrenal exhaustion you might be in. But it also tells us if you're metabolizing hormones properly and clearing them from the body. In other words, whether or not they might be putting you at risk for cancers and things like that. The second one I have listed there, the EFHP, is an extended female hormone profile. It's 11 samples of saliva that we collect to look at the cycle of a woman's hormones. The one below that is more for a menopausal woman, and the rest of those I think I already talked about. So, just talk to us about anything you feel like you might be needing tested. And of course, if you do the consult with Cynthia, we'll guide you in that way. But again, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. We'd love some feedback from you guys, both in the chat or in person, or reply to the emails that we send out about your experience with the webinar. We are planning to do lots more high-value webinars. We want you guys to get some really valuable content, and we definitely welcome your input on that, and watch your emails for upcoming webinars. So we'll stick around for a few more minutes here on the webinar to answer any further questions that come up. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll keep the chat box going. Type in any questions you have. Again, we'll send that email out, a special email because of this technical problem so we had, and just our gratitude in you being on this journey with us. So again, thank you. I'll go ahead and take off my camera, but I'll keep the webinar going so that we can do the chat. All right, take care, everybody.
Okay. Okay. I'm not seeing it. Oh, wait.
How long does it take to get adrenals back in shape? That's a great question,
Toby,
Toby.
really, really good question. It depends on the status of the adrenals. If you're in an adrenal exhaustion, it can literally take years. And it also depends on how diligent you are about healing them. So, for example, Cynthia mentioned that caffeine is one of the evils of the adrenal glands. And that was my biggest challenge is getting off caffeine. In fact, I'm not really off it. I at least moved to tea and sort of half decaf tea. But uh, anyway, it can take a while. I would say minimum 6 months, but literally it can take years, and it's going to depend on how diligent you are with it, whether you're taking supplements, whether you're doing dietary changes, and whether you've done lab tests to discern whether which stage you're in. So if you're in a certain stage, we may change how the way we do supplements.
And Toby, I would add, and to all of us, I would add that the efficiency of your recovery will depend on how individualized the plan is. And that's why I encourage everybody to do the Calendly link so we can strategize. Because you can do what you saw on an advertisement someplace and see if that helps, and then try something else and see if that helps. But if we can really hone in and discover what the best course of action is, then it'll be a quicker recovery.
I'll turn it over to you here.
All right, any other questions? Let's see.
I just wanted to comment on Toby's stress management, hiking with your dog or your hubby.
Yeah.
Definitely a good one. Definitely, people that you love, getting out in nature, that's great for sure.
Essential. And they say try and do it barefoot because that helps your body get balanced too.
So here's another question. I've been living with sleep issues my whole life. Do you think that can change?
Yes. It definitely can change. And again, it goes back to the individualized plan. And so in order to really, truly answer that, we need to know more about you. But yes, I believe that sleep can change, and it's actually can be super simple. So again, go ahead and sign up for that consult. It's not, it's kind of nice, 15-minute little conversation.
Yeah, and I would agree that definitely, even if it's been your whole life, we can address that. There may be some other things we need to look at in addition to adrenals, but I'd start with adrenals.
Yeah.
Another question. I exercise all the time. Doesn't that mean I'm good to go?
No, it probably means that you're out of balance. No, not really. What do you think, Dr. Maria?
There is such a thing as over-exercising and creating adrenal challenges because of over-exercising. So just like everything, all things in moderation. For a person who's in adrenal exhaustion and they're experiencing fatigue after exercise, then exercise may be actually working against you. Sometimes we have to work, back off a little bit on exercise. So no, just because you exercise all the time doesn't mean that things are perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know I've known lots of people who exercise really nicely and they look great and they're physically fit, but their food intake is not good. It's not a healthy diet, and then later in life they have problems, and so or their blood labs are coming back funny and they don't know why. Exercise is critical. Movement is critical, and if you're not moving enough, we have ideas on how to make your movement throughout your day just a little more effective and a little more meaningful for your body's well-being. And if you're moving too much, we can teach you and help you and support you in backing down. All right, any other questions? Let's see.
I've been feeling pangs of anxiety. Could this be adrenal related?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, because the adrenals are responsible for the building of the hormones that are stress response hormones, and so and neurotransmitters. And so to me, anxiety, I always think of brain, and I think of gut and body balance. And essentially, honestly, from the life coach perspective, health coach perspective, there's a blanket of things that we do that covers just about every kind of therapy, every kind of treatment, whether you're trying to prevent cancer, whether you're trying to take care of your adrenals, whether you're trying to, whatever, all the different things that you want to just to be your best self. There's a bunch of things that are basic. Then on top of that, we hone into the individual things. So like I said, anxiety, the gut-brain axis, we'd look and see what's going on with your gut, and then your neurotransmitters, and of course that goes back to adrenals.
Okay, one more. I've been told by other practitioners that I've had adrenal problems, and I've been working on it for years, but it doesn't seem like my symptoms are getting any better.
Interesting. What do you think about that?
Well, I would say that we need to look further.
Yeah.
Because remember, the adrenals go out of balance due to stress. So if there's other stresses going on inside the body or life, your lifestyle or your diet, then that certainly can be preventing the adrenals from healing. So It's not just a matter of taking a supplement.
And I see a comment here from Nikki about the hormonal menopause issues versus the adrenal fatigue. And trying to separate it out is not, especially from my perspective, from the coaching perspective, it doesn't have to be separated out. We can do the detective work and find out where the best course of action is, and whether if it's supporting adrenal fatigue, chances are good it's going to support your hormonal menopausal symptoms too. And so we are one big bag of chemical reactions and carbon and awesomeness put together in all different ways. And so we don't have to really separate. And at the same time, if we get our path clear through the research, through the labs, through the analysis that Dr. Maria and other functional practitioners do, then we can really hone in on you being your best self.
Yeah, and also, Nikki, I would say if you didn't watch the webinar on Stopping Menopause Madness, I think that I make it a lot clearer how they relate with each other and maybe discern a little bit better what's what. But essentially, you can't get through menopause easily with unhealthy adrenals.
Yep.
Yep. And on that note, I think we'll wind it up. Oh, wait, Nikki's saying, how long does it usually take to work through sugar addiction? Oh, well.
Nikki, you're awesome. You are not alone. The answer to that is, again, individualized. It depends on your diligence. It doesn't have to be what's it called when you go cold turkey? It doesn't have to be a cold turkey thing. There are substitutes that we can do, and sometimes you have a couple of bad days, like flu symptoms, if you're trying to really cut out hard. But then it starts to get easier. I would say even the third or fourth day, it's easier, depending on what you do. So let's make a plan.
Let's make a plan.
Yeah, let's make a plan. Okay, so everybody, again, thank you so much. I look forward to the next one, and I hope you'll join us. Have a great weekend.
And thanks to Kat for helping us with moderating and helping us work out some of the tech difficulties. I think.
Yay, Kat!
I think we'll definitely keep her on board. I appreciate her helping out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, team, and thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.